What's up, guys? So this is a bit of a different video, but I wanted to show you or to take you guys behind the scenes of my 2023 contest prep, where I was able to actually win my natural pro card at the California Natural Muscle Mayhem. This was in July. So July 15th was actually the show day 2023, and I was able to win my natural pro card. And I just wanted to take you guys behind the scenes of what resulted in a very successful prep. So a lot of that was due to, giving, myself plenty of time to actually get stage conditioning, not having to rush the process, also being able to manage fatigue well, recovery, ensuring that I was able to keep my muscle, and yeah, just ensuring that I actually made it to the stage in the conditioning. So yeah, man, this ended up being a very, very successful prep, all in all. And so, just to take you guys way back here, we're gonna go into like what really happened here. So, really and truly, I started out here right at the start of November in October. So I was eating a lot of calories at that time, and it was actually over this amount. It was well over 5,000 calories. I was having like fast food I got to the point where I was having fast food like as my last meal every day, basically, just because it was so hard for me to put on weight at that point. I was working, I was busy with just training people, and even with that, though, I was still eating a lot. But yeah, it's like my body really didn't want to get to 200. Like, I saw a few 200-pound weigh-ins at this point in time, but a lot of 199s, 198s, whatnot. But this was basically the starting point before I actually started prepping. And you can see here, like, this is what I was looking like. So again, it was very hard for me to even push up to this just because of the amount of food I was having to eat. And so, all in all, not super fat. This is not the fattest I actually got, or the heaviest I actually got before we started prepping, but this was the heaviest I got during this final push up before we started prepping. So, yeah, this was, let's see here, before it just cut me off there. This is where we were. And so, yeah, decent body composition here, all in all, but I just store my body fat really well. So some of you might think this was pretty lean, but torso relatively lean, but all in all, there is plenty of body fat here. I just store it pretty favorably. So yeah, that's where we were, and this was right at the start of November, end of October, and then of course, we started dieting. So we started dieting here, the beginning of November, and yeah, so we started cutting for just 6 weeks here, an aggressive cut. Calories were dropped pretty significantly. You can see here, where we were. 3,100. Then we dropped them down even a little bit more the last 2 weeks. They were down even a little bit more. And yeah, that was an aggressive cut, getting down to averaging 187. And so that took us to later December. So let's see. You'll be able to see the difference here. So yeah, initially we cut down pretty significantly here. And the reason being is obviously I had plenty of body fat, all in all. And so when you have higher body fat, you can, be a little more aggressive with your dieting, especially if you have a solid amount of muscle. So, especially if you're in the position where I was, where my body didn't want to be 200 pounds. So it was pretty much effortless to get that fat off, So this is where we were, right here, December 18th. This is actually a little bit after December 16th. So this is right about where we were. So you can see, like, upper body wise, definitely leaner. Definitely leaner. You can see the glutes are certainly not in. Definitely not in there. But yeah, that's where we were. So 187-ish. And then, what we did after that was we actually did a 5-week maintenance period. So getting down to 187 later December. We're in a good spot. This is like a good position to be in considering my show was in July. We estimated I might be around 170 on stage. So we had like an estimation there, like being around 170. We didn't know for sure, but the idea is to give myself enough time so that we could get as lean as we needed to get. So what we ended up doing was, since we put ourselves in a good position here, sitting at 187 in December, we were able to actually do a diet break. So we upped the calories. You can see here we actually upped the calories here. Now it's guesstimating this is around my maintenance, 3,300 calories or so. And so we ended up spending right at 5 weeks. 5 weeks maintaining that. So a bit over a month actually maintaining my weight. Essentially, you can see I'm 187.2 at the end. So yeah, that's what we ended up doing there. Pretty straightforward there, but it was essentially the fact that we put myself in a good position. We called it the pre-prep diet as well. So didn't necessarily call it actually the start of the prep, but more so like a diet. And I was able to maintain that so that I was sitting at that body weight, also eating a bit more, being at maintenance, so that my body's in a good position there to be able to start actually pushing more. So then we're at 25 weeks out here, and now we're going to start actually pushing a bit more after I'm averaging 187. Okay, so then we start pushing again there, and we're going down here. We're getting down to low 180s. So we get to the low 180s. Here at 21 weeks out. We're in later February, and then we actually, decide to do another diet break. This time just a week long. And the idea there was that, again, we got leaner. We're in a good position where, okay, the rate of loss has been where we want it to be. Let's actually slow it down a little bit. So what did we do? We bumped the calories up for this diet break here, 3,600, 3,300. And that's training day and then our rest day. So rest day calories were a little bit lower than training day, but we ended up bumping up the calories for the diet break after I averaged 181. And let me see if that was the 26th. So let's actually see. Now, this is where we were before that. Okay, so this is before we started pushing again, December, and we're going to go all the way down to that point. Let's see if we can find... Where were we here? Oh, that's a little too early. Where were we here? February 24th is this. Okay, so this is right before the diet break, and this is what we looked like here. So definitely leaner yet again. Glutes are certainly not in, though. Hamstrings are certainly not in. Upper body wise, so look at the upper body. The upper body is pretty lean, and there's still, of course, a lot of fullness there to the upper body. So yeah, this is where we are after we pushed more, and again, we're in the low 180s. Posing looked pretty terrible there, but yeah, so that's what we got to. And then what we did was like, okay, we're in a good position here where now we can actually hold this for a week. And on top of that, what did we do? We increased the calories so that we're just trying to maintain this for about a week. Also, we pulled off the training a bit, so we took a deload. So I actually was doing less working sets on my movements for this week as well. So we backed off the training as well as increasing the food. And so this leaves us at 20 weeks out, and I'm sitting in the low 180s. After that diet break, you can see my weight bumped up a little bit to 183. But we were in a good position there where, again, we would push a little bit, then we backed off. And so, again, we did that for a week, and then we said, okay, let's get back to putting ourselves in a deficit. So we dropped the calories here, as you can see, and then I've started pushing more. And so we're getting down more here. Going into 18 weeks out, we saw a sub 180 weigh in there. We're still, let's see, we're still pushing. Okay, and then we get down here to where I'm actually averaging 179, which, when you think about it, is not really even that much of a difference, right? From 181 on average to 179. But we, again, getting leaner here now, so we have to be more mindful of the rate of loss. We don't need to lose as much per week. But now I'm sitting at, this is after being at 14 weeks out. We're going into 13 weeks out, and we're in April. And then we decide what we're going to do is take another diet break. So this is where I was February, and we were like, okay, we're going to start pushing again until we get into April, which, let's see, this is March. Let's see if we can find, we got so many shots. Where were we at? This is a bit later in April, so the next week here, April 14th. So now this is when we decided to take this diet break after this week. So I pushed down then to this. As you can see, upper body is so much leaner. And look at this. We're getting some glute definition here now. Upper body, pretty locked in, but the legs, they're leaner, but they're still not where they need to be, for stage conditioning. But we're in a good position for where we need to be right now. This is April, and the show's in July. So keep that in mind, how many months out we are. And look at this. Look at the back, leaner. Now, hamstrings, glutes, not in yet. So that's important to note that, like, from the waist up, I was looking solid here and whatnot. But then when we look at the actual lower body, it was not in yet. But what did we do? We took another diet break after we got down to 179. And again, same thing. We took a deload too. So we did that for a week. And then the following week, my weight bumped up a little bit after the diet break, but then we started pushing back down. Okay. So we start pushing back down here. We were getting 179 again. Then we're pushing down, and we did start implementing like a high day, as you can see here, right here at 9 weeks out on Thursday. So that was kind of like my refeed day, where we had some higher carbs that day, more carbs that day, and we did that for a few weeks. We're getting into we're to single digit weeks out now, and then we got to 6 weeks out where we took a deload, so backed off the training again. We were being mindful of that throughout all this, and we took out the high days too. After 6 weeks out, we took out the high days, and our weights just continue to drop down here. We're getting into seeing sub 170 weigh-ins now at 4 weeks out. And so we just kept pushing until we got to 2 weeks out, which is basically where we stopped. So here, this is where we stopped. So at the end of this week, so I got down to 166.6 here. We're getting the 30th of June, and we're going to take you guys from where we were to now, seeing where I was then. Where were we here? I think this is June 2nd. This was June 23rd. 30th of June right here. So I'll let you guys see. You can see this is like post-workout. Look at the glutes. So now look at the glutes. So now you can see like we are in. This is not the best lighting either. It doesn't really do like some of the body parts as much justice. But let's see. You can see what we got to here. I took a lot of shots during this period of time, but this is basically stage. This is when we realized like, okay, we're good. This is June 30th. And at this point, we already got the conditioning we wanted. Okay. So we already got the conditioning we wanted. And what we did was we just decided to, now we can bump the food up slightly and pretty much cruise into the show. The show's July 15th. We had 2 weeks left where we were able to cruise in. And I can tell you this push getting to this weight, that final push, after that last diet break, getting to, here June 30th, it was a struggle. It was very tough. Let's see. I want to show these ones as well. But it was very tough. It was not easy. There were days I questioned, like, is this going to be worth it? Being so tired, like I didn't want to walk at all. And my cardio throughout this prep was only steps, so it wasn't anything special. But this is basically what we got up to. I was very flat here, but we got the conditioning I wanted. But yeah, I was very tired, man. Like, it was anxiety, not great. Just hunger being so high, but we got through it. And once we got to this point and AJ said like, okay, now we can bring the food up a little bit, we got to the conditioning we need. The amount of stress that just dropped is like unbelievable. My stress levels just absolutely dropped down. So that was really good. And so like those last few weeks, I was really able to cruise into the show without having to really be so aggressive or without having to be so, not having to push aggressively. We didn't have to like really dig the last 2 weeks because I already did that prior, so we just bumped the calories up a little bit and we would adjust. We would do daily check-ins from that point forward and see like, okay, how is my body responding to an increase in carbs? We found like for me, my body was very responsive. So like it was very sensitive. So if we just bumped it up a little bit, like my body would respond really well to that. If we tried to be too aggressive with the increase in carbs, I would start to spill over. So we decided like we don't need to have a big carb load or anything like that. Let's just bump the calories up a little bit and play around with the look. And once we have the look we want, we're just going to sit at that intake, leading to the show. And that's what we really did. And so, the real thing that changed here was, that little increase in calories dropped my hunger. It dropped fatigue levels a lot. And, I was just in a great place mentally too, knowing I already did what I needed to do. And so, yeah, that was pretty much that, guys. Again, I got to like 166 there in those pictures, and then we'll just keep going down here. Again, we bumped up the calories just a little bit, so I'll show you guys the lowest they were. This is the lowest my calories got to, 2,100 on training day and 1,900 on rest days. Considering I was eating over 5,000 before at the start, well over 5,000, this is a big change. But yeah, for me, it was really low. I was just doing 10,000 steps a day too, at that time too. And so look at the jump up here, just 2383, 2312. So nothing crazy, but just that adjustment, man, made a big difference in how I felt. And mentally, I was in such a good spot. And I just felt so much better physically too. Like I didn't feel so fatigued, like I could walk and move more, whereas before I didn't want to like move at all. So that was that. We, my lowest weigh-in was actually on the show day, as a matter of fact, of 165. But yeah, as you can see, we didn't do any like actual real peak. Like we really just maintained, that weight, and like leading up to the show, there was no peak or anything. We found the look we wanted. and then we brought that to the stage. So, like, yeah, this is like later, closer to the show. You know, this lighting is not the greatest for the lower body. But let's see if I can show like the last check-ins before I flew out. Let's see here. Okay, so this is like the last, this is like these morning shots before flying out, and you can see the look here, a little more fullness, definition, or a little more fullness, I would say, but we're not spilled over or anything. So yeah, and so those are like some post-workout shots you can see here. So that was pretty much that. You can see, boom, you can see the conditioning we got there. With the glutes, the infamous shots there. But so yeah, that's basically this prep, and again, so much less stressful because I got ready early, and I wasn't dying going into the show, which made it so nice. And yeah, it was as a result of us just really planning things out properly. And again, the show is July 15th. We started prepping, like at the end of October going into November. And we started that whole process going from 199 to, here 166 is, so yeah. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. You can get a little more of an insight. We ended up back again. We would increase food when we needed to, just to adjust the rate of loss so I wasn't losing too quickly, And also we, of course, backed off the training when we needed to with those deload sessions. And yeah, just monitoring things, doing our weekly check-ins. Again, getting closer to the show, we did daily check-ins. And we just, again, giving yourself extra time will make a big difference. And just planning out the prep, will make a huge difference and ensure that you actually bring your best to the stage. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Let me know what you guys think about this video. If you liked it, if it was interesting to you. But yeah, this was, a successful contest prep. And a lot of times you just see what's on social media. You just see those end result pictures, the glutes and all that stuff. But sometimes you don't always see like what really goes into it, So I just wanted to share this with you guys. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, we'll talk soon.